Welcome to the Whatcom County Council meeting for August 8th, 2017. I'd like to call the meeting to order. And would the clerk please call the roll?
Barbara Brenner.
Here.
Red Brown.
Here.
Barry Buchanan.
Here.
Todd Donovan.
Here.
Ken Mann. Satpal Sidhu.
Here.
Carl Weimer.
Here.
Thank you. And Councilmember Mann is excused tonight. Would you please rise and join me for the flag salute? I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
If you have your cell phone with you tonight, please place it on vibrate or off. And if you'll be handing out any paperwork to the council members during the open session or one of our public hearings tonight, please provide a copy of that to our staff so they have that for our records. We will move right into our public hearings. Members of the public who signed up at the back of the room prior to the beginning of this meeting will be called first and asked to form a line. I think both microphones are working tonight, so on either side. If you were unable to sign up before the meeting started, no problem. You'll be able to testify. I'll call you up when the list is exhausted. Each speaker should state his or her name for the record and will be given 3 minutes to address the council. Council staff will keep track of your time and they will warn you when you have 30 seconds left, and they will call time when the 3 minutes is done. So we have two public hearings. The first one is a resolution vacating a portion of Chet's Road. Do we have a staff report of any kind? Okay.
Oh.
Andrew Hester, Public Works. County engineer performed a engineer's report with a recommendation to not vacate Chet's Road. The reasons are outlined on page, pretty much summed up on page 41, the planning's recommendations. Basically, there's a tract of undeveloped land on the west side that hasn't been developed yet. And until that is developed, this piece of right-of-way could potentially be necessary for transportation, utilities, drainage. There's a trail that goes to Lily Point that it could feed into as well. So before that's developed, it wouldn't be in the best interest of the public to vacate.
Makes sense to me.
Okay. All right. Any questions for staff before we open the public hearing? Yes, Mr. Brown.
So the parcel that is affected if you remove the road, is that owned by the same people seeking the removal, or a different person?
It's a different person.
Okay. Right. Thank you.
Okay, is that it? Thank you.
Thank you.
We will open the public hearing. We have no one signed up for this hearing. Is there anyone that would like to speak to us about vacating a portion of Chet's Road? Seeing no one, will close the public hearing and turn it back to council. What's the wishes of the council? Ms. Brenner.
I'll move approval, but I'm voting against it. We have to move approval. Or not, don't we?
Well, I was going to move, the engineer was recommended, the council said hearing date, publish the vacation request, and direct staff to post public notices.
And I'm saying I'm not interested. They recommended against. And they did all, yeah.
Can I get ask staff about this then? So,
Sure.
no, I understand, and in order to reject it, do we need to do that process that you have under recommended action?
We put in a resolution to vacate, and you guys would just have to vote against that resolution.
Okay.
Yeah.
I got confused by that. It is recommended that the council set hearing date.
This is a hearing.
That's what confused me.
Well, yeah, but wasn't that already done with the public hearing?
Yeah.
Yes, we are.
Okay. Then I second your motion.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to approve. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, say aye. All those opposed, nay?
Nay.
No.
That fails 0-6 with Mr. Mann excused. The next public hearing is an ordinance granting Mobility LLC a non-exclusive franchise for the provision of telecommunications services. Do we have any kind of a staff report? Oh, okay.
I agree with.
Okay, then we'll open the public hearing. Anyone like to speak to us about a non-exclusive franchise agreement? Seeing none, what's the wishes of the council?
I'll move approval.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve. Any discussion? Mr. Brown?
Just please say I'm pleased to see someone else wants to provide telecommunications.
Okay, any other discussion? Seeing none, please call the roll.
Barbara Brenner,
No.
Red Brown,
Yes.
Barry Buchanan,
Yes.
Oh, I meant yes, I'm sorry. I was on the last. Yes, put me over you.
You're so used to saying no, aren't you?
That's true.
Oh,
You're
man.
so nice.
No, I deserved it.
Where were we?
Todd Donovan,
Yes.
Satpal Sidhu,
Yes.
Carl Weimer.
Yes.
That passes 6-0 with Mr. Mann excused. And that does it for our public hearings. We will now move into our open session. During the open session, members of the public may speak to us up to 3 minutes to address the council on any issue you feel that's relevant to county business. Before beginning to comment, please state your name and topic of interest for the record. And if your last name is complicated, please spell it for us. The 3-minute rule stands for the open session as well. So we will now open the open session.
Can I make one recommendation?
Yeah.
If people want to speak, if they could come down a little close so we don't have to spend a bunch of time with people. Not that it's that big a deal today, but.
It's not
yeah.
that big a deal today.
Well, Pat wants to talk, I bet you.
Leslie Hodcoop, a raspberry grower, and I am currently the president of Whatcom County Farm Bureau. And I just wanted to comment tonight and thank you, and to let you know that we are grateful for the consideration you've given, the comments we've submitted on the critical areas ordinance and the comprehensive plan. I appreciate your consideration of including the opportunity for gap plans to be considered, as well as some dairy nutrient management, et cetera. And also, I appreciate the care with which you are handling the definitions of agriculture and ongoing ag, because those are very important to us. And so I appreciate the time that you're taking on and the things that you're considering. And we have a mutual goal of preserving farmland, but I just want to respectfully remind you that we can't have farmland if we don't have farmers. And as farming becomes increasingly regulated, it comes closer to unprofitability. And another thing I want to remind you of is that as farmers, when we get assessed fees or taxes or have to pay for compliance with regulations, we have no one to pass those costs on to. It's not like other businesses where they just raise the price of their product. We have a perishable product that goes into a wholesale market, and we have to take what the market will bear. And sometimes that's not as much as we put into it. We have some control of our inputs, and sometimes we have an idea of what our market will be coming up. So then we can control some of our inputs, our choices on fertilizer and other things that we put onto the crop to help it be a profitable crop. But when it comes to regulations and compliances, we have no way to adjust those in those kind of situations. So I just ask for your continued consideration that you would take to heart that we have a market where we cannot pass those costs on, and consider that as you go through more regulation and more possible compliance issues for farmers. But again, thank you for this opportunity to speak, and thank you for listening to our comments.
Anyone else like to speak?
Hi, my name is Yoshi Ravel, and I've come before you all to speak about the climate crisis. First of all, thank you to the audience and staff that's here and members of the County Council. There's a town in Texas called Georgetown. It's one of the reddest cities in the reddest counties in the reddest states of the nation. And Georgetown's claim to fame is that they are 100% renewable. All of their power comes from solar and from wind. This is a very conservative town. And when asked, the mayor did not say, I did it because of the climate crisis or climate change. He said, we have an obligation to pass on a better world to our children than the world that we inherited. Now, I didn't say climate crisis or climate change, but that's in those words. We have an obligation to pass on a better world to our children and our grandchildren than we inherited. And we're not walking the talk. We are definitely not walking the talk. I hear lots of people talking about climate change is happening and we have to do something about it. The first person that needs to change anytime we believe that climate change is a problem is the person in the mirror, is ourselves. It's not good enough to complain about climate change. We have to actually change our habits, the person in the mirror. And we're not very good at doing that. I've changed my diet. Most of my food is vegan and vegetarian. It's healthier for me, and it's also less damaging to the environment in terms of climate change. And I think we need to adopt that attitude that I need to change myself first, as well as call for others to change, and treat this gift we've been given, because this thing is a gift. All of this is a gift. Every last bit of it, and we own none of it. We own none of it publicly, and we own none of it privately. It's all a gift. We are stewards and caretakers of a gift that we should pass on to our children and our grandchildren in better shape than we received it. If everybody in the world was living like we Americans were living, it would take 5 to 6 planet Earths to sustain us. That is not sustainable. How selfish are we that we're living like we would need 5 or 6 planet Earths to sustain our lifestyle? We have defined success as overconsumption. Look at the American way of life. Success is defined as let me consume, consume, consume.
30 seconds, please.
Let me consume so that I destroy the environment that I live in. Let me consume so much that I'm actually causing damage to my own health. We literally damage our own health. We're so over-consuming. 2/3 of Americans are overweight or obese. And the rest of us who are not overweight or obese consume up here like we are. We consume gasoline. We consume electricity. We
Time.
consume natural gas. We need to look at ourselves and say, I don't actually need as much as I'm consuming, and then make changes. Thanks you all for listening, and I wish you all health and well-being. Thank you.
Anyone else like to speak during the open session? Seeing no one, we will close the open session and turn it over to finance.
Mr. Chair, the Whatcom County Finance Administrative Services Committee met today and we considered items 1 through 9 on the consent agenda. These received an approval of 2-0 with Mr. Mann excused, and I so move.
Okay. Any discussion on the motion for the consent agenda?
Well, wait a second, I got it on my other, in committee. I always put my stuff in committee. Was this, where's the one about, the contract for that study? That's not consent agenda, is it?
No, that's next.
Okay, well, wait a minute. We're not gonna vote on that?
Separately, not on the consent agenda.
Oh, okay. All right, I'm fine with the consent agenda.
Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Consent agenda passes unanimously.
Mr. Chair, the next item is request authorization for the county executive to enter into a contract between Whatcom County and Cascadia Law Group PLLC to represent Whatcom County and to conduct study and make recommendations required by Whatcom County Comprehensive Plan Policy 2CC-16 regarding Cherry Point UGA. This received a vote of 2-0 with Mr. Mann excused, and I so move.
Okay, we have that motion in front of us. Discussion. Ms. Brenner.
I don't support this, and I think it's a waste of money, of course, to just give the answers that possibly some council members want and want to have some kind of cover to make those votes. This group is not, I mean, this law firm is not just some objective law firm. This law firm definitely represents one side of an issue, and I support our industries at Cherry Point, and I don't think that they, every time they turn around now, it seems like for instance, we just got an email saying that one of the refineries didn't have any permits or anything like that. I sent it over to Planning and Development and find out they had their permits. And I did send it to all you guys today, so I hope you got it. But it's just this whole attitude of, you know, pretending to like businesses when there's really this push to get rid of them. And I don't like it. So I think we could use that money in a much better way to work with the industries on possibly changing things they do and working with us where we'd find some common ground, rather than, you know, getting a law firm set up so that when the lawsuit comes, we've got somebody on retainer already.
Other discussion? Mr. Donovan?
Just to respond to Councilmember Brenner, I don't know if, I would think everybody up here is supportive of jobs and industry at Cherry Point. And reading the scope of work here, it's not to have attorneys on retainer for a potential lawsuit, but it's to try to figure out what, if any, tools this county has to address negative impacts on public safety, transportation, the economy, the environment, from products like crude oil, liquefied petroleum gases coming in by rail and going out by ship in increased volume than what we're dealing with right now. And I'm not confident that they'll come away with, they'll proceed with this and tell us there is all that much we can do. But I don't think this council really knows what the tools are we have to protect public health and safety. And this is a good investment to try to figure that out, given that our scope of authority over things having to do with pipelines and exports are fairly limited. This is asking some lawyers to look at our building codes, permitting, et cetera, to see, what is it? We have a responsibility to do this, I think, and I'm happy to support it.
Ms. Brenner?
You're talking about $150,000, and we've never even formed some kind of an alliance with the industries to go through what our concerns are and see if they can even adequately answer them. I just feel like this was putting it's pretty obvious what this is about, and maybe you just are very trusting, but I'm not, so.
Any other discussion? Seeing none, this is just a contract, so it's a voice vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
Mr. Chair, the next item was an ordinance.
Let me announce the-
Sorry.
That passes 5-1 with Ms. Brenner opposed and Mr. Mann excused. Sorry, go ahead.
My mistake. Next, Mr. Chair, the next item is an ordinance amending the Whatcom County budget 9th request in the amount of $148,625. This received a vote of 2-0 with Mr. Mann excused, and I so move.
Okay, is there any discussion on this motion? Seeing none, please call the roll.
Red Brown,
Yes.
Barry Buchanan.
Yes.
Todd Donovan.
Yep.
Satpal Sidhu.
Yes.
Carl Weimer.
Yes.
Barbara Brenner.
Yes.
That passes unanimously.
Mr. Chair, there's nothing else from finance.
Okay, we'll move on to Public Works, Health and Safety.
Okay, this ordinance was held in committee, tabled in committee.
Right. That's perfect.
See how quick I can be?
Okay, so that's correct. It was tabled in committee, so there's no action tonight. We have an appointment to make. We need to appoint one of our members to serve on the Behavioral Health Advisory Committee. Ms. Brenner?
I nominate Barbara Brenner.
I second.
I was going to do
Will she agree?
Is she here tonight?
Sometimes.
Okay, any other nominations? Seeing none, all's in favor to appoint Ms. Brenner, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That passes 6-0 with Ms. Brenner. Oh, yes, she voted yes.
I voted yes.
Okay, we also have an appointment to the Whatcom County Board of Equalization, District 2. The applicant is John Bruton. I would entertain a nomination or an appointment.
Move to appoint. Is that the proper motion?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Second?
second.
Okay, we have a second.
Who
Discussion?
who did it?
Mr. Brown?
Sorry. We're discussing whether or not it has to be nomination by district. Is
Oh,
it
the
new
person in the
two?
district.
Well, I'll nominate as at large then.
Well, it has District 1 crossed out and then puts in District 2.
Yeah, what
So
district is it really?
I'm in
I
both
know.
of those, but
So as the at large, I can do it as at large, so I nominate at large.
Okay,
second.
okay. Any discussion? Mr. Brown?
Yeah, is this new District 2 or old District 2?
Well, that's what we're just trying to find out.
Yes, new
Well, that's
district
crossed
two.
out here.
Thank you.
District 1.
Okay, seeing no further discussion, all those in favor of the appointment, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously. We have, excuse me, 5 items to schedule for introduction. I would entertain a motion to introduce.
I'll move approval.
Okay, Mr. Brown beat you.
Okay, then I'll second.
You second. Discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That passes unanimously. We'll move on to committee reports, natural resources.
We have 3 items in natural resources, even though there's 2 in the packet. Discussion with staff about the funding issues for programs about Lake Whatcom, and we directed staff to come back to us with examples of proposals for either a utility or a flood control subzone district to continue funding some of the programs that we have currently. We had a discussion about beavers and beaver deceivers and culverts being blocked by beavers and the increasing
And beaver,
beaver believers.
deceiver beavers
I
too.
mean, it's something that with ag land and being converted to wetlands or becoming wetlands, a problem that's going to be something. We'll be hearing more about beavers and culverts being blocked, and it was good to get a discussion of that. And Parks Department gave us a discussion about Hovander and a proposal to revamp the, it's not a petting zoo really, but the,
The whole thing.
yeah, the whole thing where the kids can see the rabbits and the goats and sheep and all that. Yeah, make it more interactive, and hopefully they're going to be raising some external money for that. That was us.
Thought of that.
Mr.
Okay,
Chair?
thank you.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I think in Natural Resources this morning, the committee made a recommendation to the full council that this evening we should take up the idea of the Lake Whatcom thing and make a recommendation. to
That's right.
Public
That
Works.
was a 3-0 vote.
Right.
And to direct staff to come back to us with proposals for either a utility or a flood subzone district for Lake Whatcom. And we gave them a fair amount of direction, I think.
And I think that they kind of wanted to make sure that at
Yeah.
least a majority of the council
Is
will
that
go
your
in that
motion?
direction.
What you
Yeah,
just-
that was my motion, and we had a written down version of it that Jill had earlier.
Do you want me to read it?
Yeah, sure.
Move to request the Public Works Department to create and present to the council a proposed framework for a flood subzone or stormwater utility in the Lake Whatcom watershed. And the council will determine details once they know how many parcels would be in the district.
Okay, do we have a second to that motion?
Second.
Discussion, Mrs. Brenner.
Yeah, I just want to make sure it's in the record. I support it as long as people who are not causing stormwater runoff and things like that do not have to pay. I think it should be paid by the people who are creating the problems. And the reason I'm bringing that up is I really wanted that with the Birch Bay BB Warm thing, and didn't get that. I couldn't support it otherwise, but I like the idea. I just think there's a real easy way to figure out where the runoff's coming from, what properties. And it may be lots of them, or it may not, but maybe few properties with lots of runoff, who knows? So there.
Any other discussion? No. Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously. Mr. Mann excused. Finance, you didn't have anything else in your committee, right?
Not in finance per se, I've got another update.
You what?
I have another update, but not in finance.
Well,
Oh, okay.
it's not finance, then.
Okay, so we had a committee of the whole meeting this afternoon.
Public Works.
Huh?
We had Public Works before that.
Not there yet.
Oh. Oh, it's on here, that's first. Your script's different than mine.
Okay. So we had a executive session today where we talked about the Hearst case. There was no action taken. Now Public Works.
Oh, okay. In Public Works, we had a wonderful presentation on a program called Firewise, and it's been presented to a few of the communities in Whatcom County, and I think it's a great idea to help people get educated and give them technical advice on what to do and not to do to help, if not prevent fires, lessen them and cause, and help to prevent, if there are fires, prevent them from causing more problems to people's property. So I'm hoping I think we were all pretty unanimous about it. Carl, you were weren't you?
I wasn't there.
Oh, Red, you were there. I think what we asked them to do was bring back a proposal. Conservation District was there, and they were the ones who were bringing this about. Bring back a proposal for a budget amendment for next year's budget. I think it's a wonderful idea, especially because this will give people more ownership in protecting their properties, and I think that's so important.
Okay, thank you. Public Works.
That
Yeah,
was
we
me.
only had one item in,
Yeah, planning, sorry.
we only had one item in planning. It was the impervious surface ordinance that we just introduced a few minutes ago.
Okay. We had another special committee of the whole this afternoon where we continued our review of the critical areas ordinance update, and we got through a number of items, and we have a number of items left to go through. So we're looking forward to that when we get back in September. So we will go to other items of business. Mr. Brown, did you have something?
Mr. Sadhu and I met with the port and discussed the plans with the port to do the economic development, hire a new economic development director, and apparently that's starting to pick up momentum, and so there's quite a bit of enthusiasm, and we discussed the proposal for a joint county port advisory board based on what this council had approved, and I think with the one exception, they'd like to see an elected from the county, the port, and the city of Bellingham on it. Otherwise, there was consensus on what the approach that we talked about. So,
You talk about any private business people? Private business
in terms of being in the role of economic.
on the committee?
Oh yeah, no. The rest of the committee was as we proposed, which was
Good.
which was focused on. It was everything we proposed plus three electeds.
Three elected, okay.
Or three government
Just
representatives.
kind of scared me there for a second.
No. It would have scared me too, but it keeps very much with the model that was very successful in Skagit.
Sure.
And maybe Mr. Sadhu's got something else he wants to add on that.
Yeah, Mr. Smith.
I just wanted to add that we should bring that back into our committee, to the council, and have the approval, because we do need to connect with all the business groups and businesses and consult with them and, start that process. We can't just make a committee and give it to people, okay, here is a committee. We really need to work with all the groups like TAG and Whatcom Business Alliance and Chamber of Commerce, and there are several organizations, Sustainable Connections for that matter, and get a buy-in from them that this committee becomes a useful tool for the businesses. It's more for their use than our use, and so we want to convey that this is not the council wants to have a committee. It's actually we want to create an opportunity for them to have a channel to communicate with this council or future councils. So I just want to say that let's bring it back to council and make it formal.
Yeah, the only thing I'd like to say that is want to wait a little bit longer just to make sure what happens with the economic development director in that discussion.
Yeah.
I will say we were both impressed with the people
Yeah.
they had on the committee for the selection. So.
Yeah.
Do they have a timeline?
Well, I think it's as soon as possible, with the caveat that they're not going to hire the wrong person. If they're not fully satisfied, they're going to just keep advertising.
Yeah.
So, which I liked.
Okay. Any other items of business? What about council member updates?
I just wanted to say for people that are watching, we've got a number of emails today about a situation up near Sumas on a farm that involved a number of migrant labor issues, and we've got a number of kind of reports from the community about what went on up there. We've also got a report from the sheriff and from our health department, and I think it's a developing story, so it's good that we're getting all that information, and I know that the council has been paying attention to that as it develops. So people have been asking us to do stuff, and we've been trying to figure out what it is we even need to do, because it is a developing story.
And I would just add to that, Councilmember Sadhu and I both went up to the meeting up at Leopold just prior to this council meeting and listened to the presentation from the group.
Okay, I have nothing.
I hope it rains.
It's supposed to rain by the weekend, that's what I heard.
I just wanted to add to the same topic that it's a known fact that these farm owners are from California, but they are from Punjab, India, where I come from. So people have connected with me because I don't know the family, because they are actually live in California. They have properties of blueberry farms in Carolinas and Sumas and a few other places. And of course, their main operation is in California. And once people knew, I got so many other phone calls and things. And I have tried to reach out to the owners and trying to establish a contact so that, so that they know that we are interested in this and make it right and get the truth out. So, like Mr. Weimer said, it's a developing story. We don't know all the facts yet. So, but we want to get to the bottom of it. Thank you.
Okay, well, that's the end of the agenda, so we are adjourned. We'll see everybody in September.
Yes.
Like the song.
See.